My sister-in-law pretended to be me to cancel my wedding, then stood up crying during the ceremony to fake a cancer diagnosis. When I asked her why, she rolled her eyes and said, "Someone needed to show you life isn't a fairy tale." I didn't say a word. That was 7 months ago. Last night, she called me 15 times and left 8 voicemails I didn't answer. 6 months ago, my sister-in-law Becca told me she was going to intentionally ruin my wedding, and that there was nothing I could do about it. At first, I thought she was joking, but she looked at me with a stone-cold face, telling me that because her own wedding had been ruined, which happened because she got too drunk and needed to be escorted by the ambulance, everyone else deserved to feel her pain. I stood there in disbelief. Becca had always been a little crazy, but she never did anything like this before. Part of me even thought she was bluffing, but just in case, I told my fiancé David about it. It was very hard, especially considering his father had just passed and he was still grieving, but he needed to know. As expected, David was furious, and we wanted to just uninvite Becca, but we couldn't. You see, their mom's health had worsened substantially ever since her husband's passing, and doctors warned her that any added stress could hospitalize her. Becca knew this, and she actually reached out to us, leveraging her mother's sickness, telling us if we uninvite her, she will cause so much chaos that her mother's heart will give out. She said her mother's blood will be on our hands, and so we kept Becca on the guest list, and soon enough, she got started. During my wedding dress fitting, Becca accidentally knocked an entire glass of red wine down the front of my gown. The dress I'd spent months dreaming about was ruined in seconds. I was devastated, heartbroken, all while Becca was just smiling. But I knew that me being sad is something that would make her happy. So instead of crumbling, I went out and found an even more amazing dress to wear. The look on Becca's face when she saw me glowing in my new gown was priceless. I could tell she was seething, and that her manipulation wasn't over. She tried to sabotage our venue next. She called pretending to be me, trying to cancel the booking. Normally this wouldn't have worked. Venues usually contact you and ask you directly if you made a change if something like that ever happens. But the woman on the receiving end of the line was very new, and she didn't even think to make sure it was actually me calling. She just canceled the venue. No calls, no confirmation, nothing. Becca had won. At least she thought she did. Because as it turned out, the manager had overheard the phone conversation that was going on, and he noticed the lack of confirmation. He called me immediately to confirm I had made the change, and we were both horrified when I said no. Luckily, he was extremely nice about it, undoing the canceling, and as an apology, he even offered us some very nice upgrades completely for free. As you can imagine, everything that was happening was incredibly stressful, and the fact Becca just wouldn't quit made it even worse. For my bachelorette party, Becca showed up smiling, with David's ex-girlfriend walking right beside her. My stomach sank. David was shocked, and when he went out to the back with his ex-girlfriend, I got this sinking feeling in my stomach. Becca just kept smiling this creepy smile at me the whole time, until David and his ex came out. They looked furious, and were both walking straight towards Becca. They took her outside, and David came back alone a few minutes later. As it turned out, Becca had manipulated David's ex into believing that he was cheating on me, and she brought her here so she could talk to me and convince me to dump David. It was crazy. Every part of me was screaming to invite this be. But family dynamics are complicated. David's mom's health was really bad. We just couldn't risk it. Alas, our wedding day arrived, and despite everything Becca had tried, it felt perfect. The sun was shining, David's mom had a genuine smile on her face, and I almost forgot all about Rebecca. But then me and David stood at the altar, and the minister spoke those dreaded words, asking if anyone objected. Of course, Becca stood up. My heart dropped, and I grabbed David's hand so hard my knuckles turned white. But it was strange. Instead of looking angry, Becca had tears streaming down her face. The whole room froze.